right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All praises be to Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahushua. Let's go to Genesis 5:1. This, the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Alahym created man, the likeness of Alahym made he him. Male and female created he them, and Baruch them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Adam lived 130 years and begat in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. So we were discussing a multitude of things on our last enjoining. So let's come over here to Genesis 4:24, and let's just go from there. What was that? Dang, it's escaping my mind. That's what it was. Come on, over here to 2 Corinthians 3. Like I said, I couldn't. It was my mind went blank for a second. Come back to 2 Corinthians 3 before Genesis chapter 4. 2 Corinthians 3:12. So seeing then that we have such hope, we use great plainness of speech. Of course, if you recall, that plainness of speech is referring to no forms, no figures, no similitudes, everything in direct and on point, bringing forth. If you recall, Hosea 12:10 tell you what? That he used similitudes through the ministry of the prophets. No more similitudes, no more any of those things. That takes you to the point like when Yahushua told the people, told his apostles, in the law and the prophets was until John. Now the Malkuth of Shamahim is preached. Everybody's pressed into that. Verse 13, and Moses put a veil over his face. The sons of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end to that which is abolished, but their minds were blinded. For until this day remain the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which is done away in a Mashiach. But even unto this day when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that Ruach, and where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is freedom. But we all, with the open face, beholding as in the glass the esteem of the Lord, changing into the same image from esteem to esteem, even by the Ruach of the Lord. Now remember, that changing into that same image is a transfiguration. Remember, we were talking about a transfiguration. So now let's come back. Genesis chapter 4, verse 24. Or 25, actually. Because we don't need all that extra stuff with it. With Lamech, that ain't got nothing to do with what we about to discuss. For Adam knew his wife again, she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For Alahym have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. So let's just take a look. So of course, Seth, by strict definition, is compensation. What is compensation? That is payment. Now, of course, you see right here, she stated that Alahym has given her another seed. We look at appointed. When you have appointed, you have sheed, set, to station, to appoint, to fix, to take one stand, to be set upon, to array. So, of course, plain and simple, he has appointed her another Zerah. Another Zerah. which of course you know is for seed. Slew, of course, is harag, that is to murder. So of course, when we got Cain, Cain by definition is possession. So he that possesses have slain Abel, or he whom possesses. And of course, you know, Abel is breath. So he that possesses, what do they possess? Have taken away the breath. And because they've taken away the breath, you've been given compensation. What does that mean to you? Does any of you have any thoughts on that before we proceed? Well, let's go to 1 John chapter 3. Let's look at what Cain possessed, which is why he took away the breath. And because he took away the breath, there had to be some type of payment. Well, not that it had to be some type of payment, Yahuwah gave a payment. So when we come to 1 John chapter 3, verse 8, you can make it full, 1 John 3 and 4 on general principle. Whosoever commits sin, transgress also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. So the first thing that we would have to get into is when we go back and we take a look at Cain. Cain is already in violation or rebelling against Yahuwah. How do we know that Cain was in rebellion to Yahuwah? What would you point to be able to show that Cain was in rebellion to Yahuwah? What you gonna point to show that Cain is in rebellion to Yahuwah? Y'all ain't got nothing y'all can point to? Going once? Going twice? Well, let's take a look at Genesis 4 and 3. Say, in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground and the offering unto Yahuwah. And Abel also brought out the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And Yahuwah had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But to Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Yahuwah said unto Cain, why are you wroth, and why is your countenance fell? If you do well, you shall you not be accepted? But if you do not well, sin lie at the door, and unto you his desire, and you shall rule over him. You say, look at it, we're doing his offering. You say he didn't make his best offering. So just take a look at this here, right? Just look at what's going on. It wasn't even the fact of the offering. He didn't have a desire to bring anything in the first place. Let's take a look at this one here. First and foremost, let's look at the fact that Yahuwah had no respect for his offering. What does that mean? Had not respect. All that is, if you recall, that is sha'ah. He did not look at, regard, or gaze. So why didn't he look at and regard and gaze it? Hold what you got. Come to Habakkuk chapter 1. Let's pick it up at verse 3. Let's look at why he did not look at it and regard it or gaze upon it. You'll be able to say something if I can get on around now. You can make it 1 and 1. I give you a second to get on around now. Now I'm going to tell you what does it mean to if you do well. Of course, if you do well, that is your tab. That is what is good, what is pleasing. So if you do what is pleasing to Alahym, will that not be accepted? What is accepted? That is sha'af. That is to be elevated, uprising. Also to be accepted, excellency, and things of that sort. Now, what do we have if you do not well? Well, then you have the same thing. You have your tab. If you not, which is low, your tab. So you're going to have a problem. Then it says, and under you will his desire as far as his sin is concerned. And that desire is teshokah, which is to have a desire or a longing or a craving. So when you don't do well, you will have a craving for your flesh, and your flesh will have mashal, which will have dominion over you. So also, after I read this Habakkuk chapter 1:1, we'll go to Romans 8 for more insight into that matter. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see, O Yahuwah, how long shall I cry, and you will not hear? Cry out unto you violence, and you will not save. Why do you show me iniquity and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence before me, and there are raise up strife and contention. That is what happened to Abel. He cried out, his blood cried out unto the ground because of violence. He was shown iniquity, and he beheld grievance and spoiling and violence because of the strife and contention that that Cain had in his heart, because Cain sought to possess that which was not his. So the rebellion was already in his mind. See, that take us into the other point of what we discussed on Shabbat in regards to the greater light, the lesser light, and the stars. Remember, the lesser light is to rule the night. This is something that is insignificant. You know what I'm talking about? Something that is unimportant. And see, Cain is of that same fight. That's because he ruled over the night, because darkness was in his heart. He is insignificant. Remember, we are children of the day, not of the night. So, of course, when you look at this in regards to two separate understandings, we have one understanding where that lesser light would be Mashiach. But in this particular instance, you're looking at that lesser light, and he is Satan. Satan got rule over the night, and he is insignificant and unimportant. And because of Abel's heart, he was insignificant and unimportant. Why? Because he had a longing and craving to have his flesh, or to have sin, or to have the benefits of sin to rule over him. That's what he had a desire to have over him. And it's Romans 6 that I desire, not Romans 8. But let me finish where we at. Verse 4. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment do never go forth. For the wicked do compass about the righteous. Therefore wrong judgment proceeds. So that's what you ended up seeing. Wrong judgment proceeded when it came to dealing with Cain and Abel. Let's drop down to verse 12 and go and get the lights up for me while you're at it, please. This is verse 12 of chapter 1 of the prophet Habakkuk. And it says, you are not from everlasting, O Yahuwah, my Alahym. My Kadash one, we shall not die. O Yahuwah, you have ordained them for judgment. And Almighty Alahym, you have established them for correction. Of purer eyes than to behold evil, you cannot look upon iniquity. Of purer eyes than to behold evil, you cannot look upon iniquity. Wherefore look you upon them that deal treacherously, and hold your tongue when the wicked devour, more righteous than he. And see, that's what you ended up seeing with Cain and Abel. This is why Yahuwah did not look upon or regard the offering of Cain, because he cannot behold evil. His eyes cannot look upon iniquity. And then, of course, Cain came forth and dealt treacherously and devoured a man who was more righteous than him. Now, let's take a look at this in Romans chapter 6. And we're holding 1 John chapter 3, by the way. And this gives you more insight to the mind of Cain. 6 and 11, this is something that Cain had no desire to do, which would put him in the image of Alahym, because Cain had no desire to be in the image of Alahym, but he desired to take away the breath of Alahym, but yet be in possession of the righteousness of Alahym without doing the works of Alahym. And it don't work like that. It don't work like that. 6 and 11, Romans. Likewise, reckon you also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto Alahym through Yahushua HaMashiach our Lord. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield your members instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto Alahym as those that are alive from the dead, and your members instruments of righteousness unto Alahym. See, that's what Cain didn't want to do. He didn't want to lend his body to the service of Alahym, because he had no desire to it, and that's why he was in rebellion. Because that's what I mentioned Romans 8 for. When you are carnal minded, you're not subject to the law of Alahym, and neither can you please Alahym. And that's how you know that Cain was in rebellion, because he was a carnal minded man. He had no desire, delight, or wish to serve Yahuwah in the least bit. And Yahuwah already knew this. Even before he made the offering, that's why he made the statement that he made to him. If sin not going to be at the door, then guess what? Your desire going to be to that and it's going to have rule over you because that's what you desire to be ruled by. Let's continue, verse 15. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't read verse 14. For sin shall not have dominion over you. You are not under the law, but under mercy. What then? Shall we sin because we're not under the law, but under mercy? Alahym forbid. Know you not that to whom you yield your servants to obey, his servants you are, to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. But notice what it says, sin shall not have dominion over you when you begin to do that which is pleasing to Alahym. What pleases Alahym? But to believe on him whom he hath sent, his only begotten son, so that you could be conformed to his image and be in the image of Alahym. That's pleasing to him. Cain had no desire to do that. Most brothers who in this word now don't have no desire to do that. And you know how we know they don't have no desire to do that? All you have to do is listen to their conversation. Anything that has to do with anything of this life or anything of this earth, to make it seem like that's going to make you in the image of Alahym, that man don't care about God. He don't care about pleasing God. He's trying to make his own righteousness and put your name on it. And you got to be wise enough to know the difference. Most people are not wise enough to know the difference because they're in the word for the wrong reasons. In the word for the wrong reasons. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to show at the end. You know what I'm saying? Prayerfully, when we get to the end, all of us will be found in him in peace. But let's return back to 1 John chapter 3. I just wanted y'all to see that how Cain was in rebellion even before he murdered his own brother. So because he that possesses, and what did he possess? He possessed sin. He possessed envy. He possessed jealousy. He possessed covetousness. And then because of covetousness, that led to idolatry. And because of that idolatry, that led to murder. Because then it led to anger. See, envy is that's why the book of Proverbs say, who can stand before envy? Envy is a very dangerous drug. Very, very dangerous drug. It can get you in a different type of situation. Remember what it say, he that depart from evil maketh himself prey. And ain't nobody to stand in the gap. See, as I'm mentioning that here, but this is a totally different situation because I had no idea who that young man was who got killed. But one thing for certain that I seen that Jay Prince stated, in which I already know this here, man, well, you can't go around no bunch of starving dogs and hang no meat in their face and don't think they want to come get you. See, it's easier for dudes to sit back and blame a woman and say it's the woman's fault when niggas walk around here risking their life to prove that they tough. Because I tell you this here, man, if a nigga up fire on you, man, for your stuff, man, you better give it to him. Because guess what? Nigga gonna shoot you and you gonna die and you still ain't got it. And just to prove what? That you tough. Nigga ain't gonna take nothing from you. Niggas do a lot of stupid stuff in this country, man, to prove that they tough. You know what I'm saying? To prove that they this, that, there, and the third. But one thing I know, now it's different with the word, right? Because some brothers feel like they don't want to show their righteousness because you scared somebody gonna do something to you. But you know what I'm saying? But the unjust are always gonna do something to the just. You know what I'm saying? And I know in theory you should feel like you should be able to walk around and wear whatever you want to wear and floss whatever you want to floss. But in reality, you got covetous, idolatrous people on the earth, and they'll kill you for what you got. You know what I'm saying? I know in a lot of people's minds, you thinking, you know, if I do something and I get successful, that'll motivate the people. It won't. It's not. I promise you it's not. A nigga who ain't got nothing that's not motivated by your success angers him. Your success brings envy out of him. Your success makes him want to murder you. You know what I'm saying? I remember my big homeboy told us that a long time ago, man. We hadn't even started hustling yet. He said, man, when you go to get money, nigga, go to acting funny. See, I know in your mind, you think in the pureness of your mind, I'm a motivate, I'm an inspire. You're not. You are a constant reminder of the failures of these men. And they'll take what you got and take your life for it. So why do I mention that? Because see, you got to understand something. When you begin to serve Yahuwah, and remember what Revelation say, that they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and love not their own lives unto the death. See, you thinking when you standing for the word, you're going to inspire people to want to be saved and want to walk in righteousness, but you're not. But you're not. I promise you not. Because every time they see you, you are a reminder of their ungodliness. And they will be offended and find you abominable every single solitary time. You know what I'm saying? See, we be over here living in the fantasy world, man. I don't know so many of these dudes claim they from the street and don't know how things go, man. Y'all know how it go out here, man. Ain't nobody out here happy that you made it. Nobody's happy that you're successful. And you thinking it's just because niggas be hating. It's not that necessarily niggas be hating. But if a person don't have a desire to do better and they constantly see you as a reminder of their shortcomings, they will begin to resent you. You got to understand something. When the people stated when they seen Mashiach, they said, boy, he don't teach like the scribes and Pharisees do. He teaches one who got authority. He teach with power. They said, we ain't never heard a man teach like he teach. Ain't nobody ever came through and talked like he talked. Do what these people said. It made the scribes and Pharisees and the others resent him for what they were not. This is how Pilate could know, that they delivered him because of envy. So you thought that, he would have inspired these people. How he going to inspire people who don't want to be inspired? How you going to motivate somebody who don't want to be motivated? You be living in a fantasy world, man. The only people who really gonna appreciate what you got going on are people who doing the same thing you doing and actually doing it. You'll inspire somebody who serve Yahuwah because they serve Yahuwah and they have a desire to do it. You'll inspire them. You ain't inspire somebody who take the lead of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. You're not going to inspire them. And that's unfortunate. But it's the reality. It's the reality of life. And I don't think a lot of times we don't like to deal with the realities of life. You know, I always hear niggas say, you ought to stay in the hood and build it up. Lie, you tell it. I'm getting the hell on. I ain't from the hood, so it don't make no difference. I don't come from no quote unquote inner city. That ain't where I'm come from. So I don't feel no need to do that. But I know if I did, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm out of here. Because it's not benefiting them people to sit amongst them people and these people dead broke and you not. You know how people always say rich people don't never show their money. They don't show their money because they don't want you to know they got it. Because if you know they got it, you'll come and get it. You know what I'm talking about? That's why they don't show it. That's why they walk around look like they ain't got nothing. Because they don't want you to come around there messing with them. Ain't that right, Joanne? Joanne don't know nothing about that. I done heard several I'm talking about on television, old rich white men who have stuff. They be like, oh no, I don't show my wealth. I don't want nobody bothering me. You know what I'm saying? You think it's from some other reason. It's just simple fact. I don't want you people bothering me. Now, of course, when it comes to the word, you're supposed to let your light shine. But them people gonna come bothering you either way. Ain't nothing you can do about that. And they gonna come kill you and they gonna think they be doing you who a service. Are you a thumb sucker now? Oh, you are. Where we at? Let's go back to 1 John chapter 3. Verse 4 again. Whosoever commits sin transgress also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Whosoever abide in him, sin not. Whosoever sin have not seen him, neither known him. Little children, let no man deceive you. Who that do righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. He that commits sin is of the devil. For the devil sinned from the beginning. For this purpose, the son of Alahym was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Whosoever is born of Alahym do not commit sin, for a seed remain in him, and he cannot sin because he's born of Alahym. And this, the sons of Alahym are manifest, and the sons of the devil. Whosoever do not righteousness is not of Alahym, neither he that loveth not. For this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Not as Cain, of that wicked one, and slew his brother. Wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous. Now let me ask y'all this question here. If it states that Cain's works were evil, what does that tell us about Cain? If the text says that Cain's works were evil, what does that tell us about Cain? You got something for that, boo? Why you ain't got nothing? Somebody finna get. Who getting a whooping, Joanne? Is it your mama? What does that tell us about Cain? That he's of the devil? No. Because I mean, it just told us that he was of the wicked one. But what does it tell us about Cain? And it say his works were evil, that he's a worker of iniquity. But he didn't necessarily work iniquity because he didn't pervert the word. That's what iniquity is by definition. But what does it tell us about Cain if his works were evil? Anybody? There you go. There's evil in his heart. It started in his heart. Before he could get to the work, to do the work, it had to start in his heart. So his heart was already evil. This is a statement why Yahuwah told him, if you do well, you'll be accepted. But if not, the desire and sin will rule over you, and it'll be at the door. It'll be waiting on him, because this is what was in his heart. Before he murdered his brother, his heart was evil. And see, and it also showing you, if the heart is evil towards Yahuwah, what do you think is going to happen to Yahuwah's servants? Remember the tree of knowledge and good and evil is the law. So once Adam had sons, of course they taught him the law. They had to learn it, get passed down. This is how everybody in the bloodline of Adam is called the son of Alahym, and the fact that how Noah could be perfect in his generations and walk with Alahym, because they had the law. So Adam taught his people all the way down. This is how the people were able to corrupt the way of Yahuwah upon the earth, as you read in Genesis chapter 6. You can't corrupt the Darak without knowing what the Darak is. And the Darak was given from Adam on down. Let's come over here. Fourth is dealing with transfiguration. And let's talk about Songs of Solomon, chapter 5. And you can pick it up in verse 1 in Songs of Solomon. Give me a second, man. Songs of Solomon 5 and 1. I come into my garden, my sister, spouse. I've gathered my myrrh with my spice. I've eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I've drunk my wine with my milk. Eat, O friends, drink, yea, drink abundantly, O beloved. And question, what do you hear when you hear verse 1? What you hear, boo? You need to hear it again. I come into my garden, my sister, spouse. My sister, spouse. I've gathered my myrrh with my spice. I've eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I've drunk my wine with my milk. Eat, O friends, drink, yea, drink abundantly, O beloved. What do y'all hear when y'all hear that? Oh, no, Cain wasn't created to backfire on because of their wrongdoing. It's just that, as it stated, you made man upright and man sought out many inventions. So therefore, because of the lust of the flesh, that's why Cain went in that direction. And because he went in that direction to rebel, that's what made him of the wicked one, because he was of sin. But it wasn't necessarily something to fall on Adam and Eve because their son was evil. It's just say that son just happened to be evil. What do you hear when you hear verse 1 in this Songs of Solomon, chapter 5? I come into my garden, my sister, spouse. I've gathered my myrrh with my spice. I've eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I've drunk my wine with my milk. Eat, O friends, drink, yea. Drink abundantly, O beloved. Oh, you say wedding supper of the Lamb? No, not in that regard, good sir. Not in that regard. Boo, you got something? Prepared for death. But what the myrrh and the spice is, y'all? What you say, boo? Well, the myrrh and the spice is when Mary came and anointed him before his death. That's what you were talking about? No, I can barely hear you, so that's why I'm confirming that. That's what you were saying. I wanted to make sure that's what you said. So when he's eating my honeycomb, shalom, sir. When he's eating my honeycomb with my honey, what is that? Eating the honeycomb with the honey is take, eat. This is my body. That would be the bread. How we know that? Because it referred to the, yes, it referred to what it described the manna as. What did the book describe the manna as? Like a wafer of honey. Ain't that what it said? Very well. Then, of course, drunk my wine with my milk. This is the blood and the new covenant. And old friends, his friends, that would be his disciples because that's who was with him. Let's look at verse 2. I sleep, but my heart wake. It is the voice of my beloved that knocks, saying, open to me. My sister, my love, my dove, my undefiled. For my head is filled with dew, and my locks with the drop of the night. Well, what is that? Well, of course, that would be being filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. Obviously, we're looking at from verse 1. Now, we work into verse 10, but I just wanted to make sure that y'all get a good understanding of everything that comes before that. Verse 3, I've put off my coat, how shall I put it on? I've washed my feet, how shall I defile them? Well, we just read that in Romans 6. So if you know that's putting off the body of the flesh. So if you put off the flesh, why would you put it back on? And if you've washed yourself through the regeneration of Mashiach, why would you muddy your feet up with sin again? My beloved put in his hand by the hole, and my bowels were moved for him. Can anybody tell me what verse 4 is referring to? What you say, boo? My beloved put his hand by the hole, and my bowels were moved for him. Mm-hmm. You know, we just talked about him having them keys the other day, right? Now they got hold of the door, but door ain't there. But when you got hole, you have kohor, which is hole, cave, socket, den, a cavity. My beloved put his hand by the cavity, and my bowels were moved for him. What are your bowels? Of course, this is my eye. This is your internal organs, your inward parts, your bowels, your intestines, your organs of procreation, but also a place of emotions, distress, or love, figuratively. A foreshadowing of the crucifixion. You say that's when they put the finger in his hand? Well, let's take a look. Let's come over here to John 20. Let's look at John 20 and 24. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yahushua came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, we have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. After 8 days, again his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Came Yahushua, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Shalom unto you. Then he said to Thomas, reach hither your finger, and behold my hands. Reach hither your hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my Alahym. Yahushua said unto Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Baruch, they that have not seen and have believed. So let's also go to Luke 24, where Stanley their hands in the hole. You gotta wait a minute. There we go. And his bowels were moved for him. Now see, in Luke 24, he's going to tell him to handle it. Luke 24 and 36. And as they thus spake, Yahushua himself stood in the midst of them and said unto them, Shalom unto you. They were terrified and affrighted, supposed that they seen a ruach. He said unto them, why are you troubled, and why do thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for ruach have not flesh and bones, as you see me have. And when he had thus spoken, he showed them hands and feet. And while they yet believed not for joy, and wondered, and said unto them, have you here any meat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of a honeycomb. And he took and did eat before them. Nonetheless, you see this how they go in Songs of Solomon. And the point of that more so is his beloved sticking the hand in the hole of the door, that his bowels were moved for him, or love was moved for him, because he believed, pointing to the fact that you believe and you didn't see any of those things. Let's continue in Songs of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 4 one more time. My beloved put his hand by the hole of, and my bowels were moved for him. I rose up to open to my beloved. My hands dropped myrrh, my fingers sweet smelling myrrh upon the handles of the lock. I opened to my beloved, but my beloved had withdrawn himself and was gone. My soul failed when he spake. I sought him, but I could not find him. I called him, but he gave me no answer. Come back over here to John chapter 20. Come back to John chapter 20. We had some stuff. It's been a long time since we discussed it. But here you go. Notice what it said here in Songs of Solomon, that he opened, but my beloved withdrew himself and was gone, and my soul failed when he spake. I sought him, but I could not find him. Shalom, Brother Reynolds. I called, but he gave no answer. 20 and 11. But Mary stood without the sepulchre weeping, and as she wept, she stooped into the sepulchre, and see two Malachim in white sitting, the one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Yahushua had lain. And they said unto her, woman, why weep you? She said unto him, because they've taken away my Lord, and I know not where they have laid him. When she had thus said, she turned herself back